Can you talk to us a little bit about your journey as an architecture visualization artist and how that moved on to you as a content creator there?
Basically, I'm a licensed architect. I became a licensed architect quite a few years ago. But right after I finished my studies, I actually realized that architecture was great, but wasn't really what I expected during my studies. And being an architect was extremely limiting. So what I decided to do was just to take a little bit of a different path and still work in architecture, because architecture was my go-to place always,
Mhm.
but more towards a creative outcome. So I decided to just leave architecture, arch- working as an architect,
Mhm.
a little bit behind. And I attended a masterclass in Venice. That was the state of art academy that most in the industry knows. And right after I finished that, I moved to the UK and I worked in UK for quite some time. I worked there for 5 6 years.
Mhm.
I worked as a freelancer, and then I've been employed for a few companies. I work with Arc9, Cityscape Digital. I work with quite a few. And then 3 years ago, yeah, 3 years ago, when basically when COVID hit, I decided to take my family and move back to Genova, to Italy, to
Mhm.
my hometown. And here, my whole journey took a little bit of a different shift. So I I always wanted to be my own boss. Let's get that out in the air. I
Mhm.
always liked that idea of being, your own boss and set your own rules and set your own time. So
Mhm.
I kind of decided to launch my studio. But while I launched the studio, it was kind of a difficult time. During COVID, it was actually quite, challenging. So I decided to launch my studio and at the same time still work as a freelancer. And that's why I always like both faces of the same coin. Um, and I still do to a certain extent. And that's why I kind of started working for archivist companies, like quite a few big architectural visualization companies. And I'm not going
Mhm.
to name all of them, but I partnered with a lot of them. And
Mhm.
while I was working with them, I still had this in the back of my mind, this idea of, pushing my studio, because it was a bit of a silly thing to kind of put everything together in motion and not pursuing it. And that's why I last year, I think it was mid last year. I don't remember exactly when, but I took a hard decision of almost stopping completely the freelance work and going full time into Forma Studio. Forma Studio is my studio, and we. It was just a one man band, and then I hired another artist, and we slowly grew a little bit, and we started working with big companies in the architecture world.
Mhm.
And that was a big reward because I kind of delved a lot of effort and time and stress, and everyone that works in the industry and everyone that's a business owner knows this. But it's not as easy as it sounds. It's not all, flowers and roses, and that it's not
Of
it's not
course.
the case. It's quite challenging. And
Definitely.
when I decided to take this hard decision of going on my own completely, it was the moment when I actually realized that content creation to me was mandatory, was an essential step into building
Of course.
more kind of revenue and more relationship with clients and things like this. So I did actually started creating content a year ago, a bit more than a year ago. And I honestly, I wasn't really clear on anything. I wasn't clear on my messaging. I wasn't clear on my target client. I wasn't clear on any important element. And
Mhm.
if you're listening this, I can guarantee that you if you start, you don't have a clue. You literally have zero idea of what you're doing, and that's fine. I mean, that's totally okay. Everyone will figure it out, but it takes time and it takes a lot of
Of course.
trials and errors and failing content and seeing content, and it's part of a process. But I think it was 8 months ago, I literally took the content creation extremely seriously, and I started posting consistently, daily, engaging with others, building a bit of a community around archviz, like architectural
Hmm.
illustration. That still, I feel that it's not, LinkedIn is not a platform where people in our industry
Hmm.
engage or find valuable as a platform. Everyone still is on Instagram, and again, that's totally fine. I use Instagram, but I see that completely differently than LinkedIn.
Of course, yeah.
Those are two different beasts,
Hmm.
and how you use one and how you use the other one, I think your mindset should shift a little bit. LinkedIn is great, and I think has a lot of potential. Um, and to be fully honest, in 2024 probably will boom even more because it's
Hmm.
kind of everyone seeing the potential behind it. Um, as I probably
Yeah,
mentioned earlier, it takes a lot of practice, effort, and actually work to put things
yeah.
in motion. But I really, really recommend hopping on the platform because it is going somewhere. I don't know where, but it would be silly not to
Yeah.
engage and use that. So yeah, that basically in short, it's kind of my past 7 to 8 years,
Hmm.
actually seven to
Yeah.
10 years of
Hmm.
experiences.
Yeah, I think to be honest, even though a lot of people are not using LinkedIn in the industry as much as other platforms, I think that gives everyone an advantage to start using it as early as possible because there's low competition as of now, and a lot of people that go on LinkedIn, I always say this, but they're not usually going in there to get entertained or mindlessly scroll. They're usually going to improve their business, improve themselves, and that's why I think it's a whole different mindset of people that view your content in LinkedIn rather than on Instagram,
Yeah,
and that's what I think is super super powerful there.
yeah, yeah.
However, I want to ask some more of the technical stuff and some of the questions that a lot of the ArcViz audience is wondering on because
Mhm.
there's definitely a lot of people that want to take ArcViz seriously as a career path, but they do not know how to start. So, if you had to give a roadmap to someone who wanted to get their first ArcViz client, what would you say is the best method for them to go about it? How should they charge? What should they use? And where should they be directed for that?
Yeah. Okay. So that's a big um, question, and I think should be broken down into smaller chunks because it is as big as it sounds. It actually each sub element, let's call it like that, should be treated on its own. So I would start from you're a beginner and you have to put something together. So I would start with a portfolio first. And this sounds stupid, but without a good looking portfolio and without actually, portraying to a, potential client your work, you wouldn't really have a chance at all. So the first thing I would do if you're a beginner into the business community and you need to build up your own studio and land your first client, first thing I would do is just to build an actual strong portfolio. Now, I've reviewed in the past year, especially, I've reviewed thousands of portfolios from potential people that got in contact with me. And one thing that I noticed almost every time is the length of a portfolio. The length of portfolio, in my experience, makes or breaks the application. If you send me a 95 pages portfolio or even 25 pages portfolio, I'm not going to watch it. I'm not going to scroll through. That's absolutely a no go.
Mm-hmm.
Select 5 to 7 pieces of work, tops, but those have to be like your gold, absolutely best work ever. You don't need more than that. Even because
Mm-hmm.
in 5 images, even in 3, probably, a person that it's reviewing portfolios will be able to see your potential. So
Hmm.
limit that to less is more. Okay, that's
Yeah.
everyone knows this quote. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, it's funny you said that because I literally have a video on my channel about the three, what was it called? Yeah, 4 steps for a better 3D rendering portfolio, and I literally recommended 5 to maximum 10 images, because anything more than that is just chaotic and it doesn't
yeah.
help anyone. But yeah, after the portfolio, what do you think is the next best step?
Mm, I mean, everyone has different take into the client managing
Mhm.
expectations sort of thing, and there are endless. I honestly think there are endless ways to go about it, and there are different takes on things. But for example, funny thing, I started on Upwork. I mean, again, this is not the best path. That could be totally wrong.
Yeah, I
But my
started in
first,
Fiverr.
yeah, you see, my first client actually got through Upwork. It wasn't great. Actually, it's been a bit of a painful project, but I learned a lot from it because it gave me a structure in terms of managing. I always managed clients in the past. I knew how to do that very well.
Mhm.
But your own client, and if you start from zero, your own first client makes a huge difference because it's on you. If it goes
Mm,
great, it's on you. If it goes
yeah.
poorly, it's on you. So you have to do that really well. My
For,
first
for
client got through that.
yeah, for me, that was like 3 years ago, and I remember the exact message that I received for that work, and I remember the exact name of the client because it was such an important moment in the career.
Hmm.
And yeah, it's very very true. And one thing that I would say, because then I'll forget about this, Upwork and Fiverr are not the best platforms for long term, but I think a lot of people also underestimate them because, at least from my experience, there's some clients out there that are willing to pay quite some money, especially if you're like in the Fiverr Pro services or all that stuff. It's not always a bad option to start out there because they bring the audience or the market, the traffic to you. So maybe if you're not super experience in marketing, content creation, and all of that, that's a good place to start. So,
Hmm.
yeah, that's definitely. But my right now, my advice for people who want to start out wouldn't be to start out on Fiverr, but at least that was my first client.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, if I have to recommend that, I wouldn't. I wouldn't tell you, spend 5 days of your time to craft a profile on Upwork and do your thing on Upwork or Fiverr because
Hmm.
again, I landed my first client there, but I wouldn't recommend going full time on Upwork, even because it's extremely challenging as a platform because everyone competes on price. And if you offer quality services, you cannot compete on price. I mean, I, I truly believe that competing on prices is stupid. And let me get it out in the air because I'm extremely against that. You should
Hmm.
always compete on quality and the services and creative services you offer. And again,
And
something
speed as well. I
yeah,
think speed
exactly.
is.
Exactly. How quickly you can provide a solution and
Mhm.
the speed and the quality together, if you can offer both of them, it's a no-brainer. The client can see that and you have to, provide a good solution for your client basically.
Mhm.
And one thing I would recommend still doing is showing your face online or on networks. I always did that, and I was in UK, and I tried to go as much as I could on gatherings, events, stuff like that. Not because I needed a job, because I was employed, so I didn't really need it. But
Mhm.
I wanted to build a kind of show my face to the community and to the world, and that, funny enough, led me to start creating content. And now people recognize my face, even if I don't know them, because they saw my face so many freaking times online and podcasts and videos and uh, show reels and anything. They it kind of feel they know me, even though I'm just, a very normal person. And I'm not famous or shit like that. I don't care about that. But showing your work, showing your face, showing your, the quality that you can provide makes people interested about you. So if I would suggest something, is start this content creation thing early
Hmm.
on. Again, it doesn't have to be full time. You can do that once in a while, but do consistently. Like if you do that in a while, do that once a week, twice a week.
Hmm.
Takes no time. It's just takes no time.
Yeah, and what would you say as of now? Where do your clients mainly come from? Is it a mix between cold out? Do you do cold outreach, or is it
I
mainly
do.
just
I do. I do.
okay? Yeah. So,
Um, Good
what would you
question.
say is the like percentage of the clients you get on cold outreach compared to let's say content creation?
Okay, so let me break this down. Cold outreach is great, but it's cold, extremely cold. So to convert a client, it takes a lot more effort and a lot more skills because in cold outreach, 99.9% of the conversion rate depends on your copy. And to learn how to write a good copy and how to lay down, the client has a problem, I solve the problem, I solve that problem, providing a solution, that takes a lot of work. And I think I honestly wasted a year learning copy through content creation. And then I started my outreach and I landed a few great clients through cold outreach, but
Mhm.
the percentage is always very small. So you can send maybe 100 messages and you get, I don't know, one uh, interested client, two, three, four, five. It depends. It really depends on the season as well. New Year is not the best, probably mid year before the summer is the best time of the year, at least what I found out.
Mhm.
And I do cold outreach through emails, but I do connection and I connect a lot through messages on LinkedIn without being cold. Uh, Let me explain. One thing that is extremely helpful, and this is my roadmap to all of you guys. So if you want to do that, just go ahead and steal it because it's basically what I do on a day-to-day basis. I post content providing solutions or offering solutions or uh, suggesting what we do at Forma Studio
Yeah,
without
just
being
sharing
pushy.
value basically. Yeah.
Exactly. But I do that daily and I share every single thing I know without holding fire. And you can see posts about anything that we do in the studio and the steps we do and how we do that, because I still believe that clients, and when I say clients, I say architects, design directors, architecture studios as a whole. And I do this and then I do these messages on LinkedIn. But messages on LinkedIn shouldn't be pitch slapping my services because that never works. My messages on LinkedIn are simply, I would love to connect and I like what you guys do. And, you know, let's
Yeah.
take things
It's
from
it's
that
more
point
it's more warm
onwards.
outreach, I guess.
Exactly. It's a bit of a different. I mean, cold outreach goes something along the line of, "Hey, I know you guys do this sort of projects. We do this sort of projects, and we can help you with this
Yeah.
sort of thing."
I
Maybe
to be
lay down
honest with you,
differently.
yeah, to be honest with you, I'm super against cold outreach. I think the only viable way that I would suggest cold outreach is if someone really needs cash right now and immediately and in a very short time frame. I think you have a better chance of getting a client in 1 week through cold outreach than creating content if you're starting from scratch.
Yeah,
Other than that, I think cold outreach doesn't build the leverage that content builds.
yeah,
If you're sending an email that goes just to one person, and probably to for cold outreach to work, you will have to make it very personalized. So if you're going to spend that much time writing copy, why just not write the copy
yeah,
for LinkedIn or another platform where it's going to be seen by millions of people? And on top of that, you're building leverage. Maybe someone who sees a post today will reach out to you maybe 6 months after seeing
yeah.
that post.
Yeah.
where in fact, if you send an email after 6 months, no one will even remember your name, most likely. So
Even
that's
because
kind of
let's be honest, they receive hundreds and hundreds of emails, copy pasted emails that are sad and depressing and scrubbed very quickly because they don't really care. And
yeah,
this is a true. So
100%.
let's be honest.
Yeah,
While building content, as you said, is more of a warming up leads. And again, if you're not ready to buy now, that's fine. That's totally okay. This, I'm not doing content because I want you to buy now. I'm building content because I want to show you that in 6 months' time, in 1 year time, when you'll have the right project, I'll be the top of mind because you see me daily and you see the stuff I put out there and you
of
see the
course.
quality I put out there. So
Yeah,
that's completely different approach.
yeah,
I want to do this in a proper way. It takes much longer. It's I'm not saying it's a waste of energies, but it's an investment of energies.
of course.
But it's something that while you have 500 posts online, people will quickly go on my LinkedIn profile, scroll for 5 minutes, and will understand that the quality I provide is always top of quality. And I share tips and tricks for everyone that wants to improve their work. And it's a lot more work, but it's definitely
Mhm.
worth it.
100%, 100%, 100%. Well, I think it's very interesting to see the business side of things for every Archviz artist that I talk about. A lot of people are interested in that. A lot of architecture, visualization community is interested in all of that. Now, let's say we got the clients. Let's talk a little bit about the tools that we would need and the progression of technology that has been happening lately to actually deliver the work. Um,
Mhm.
what are the main software that you use in your studio? And I want to segue that into how important software actually is. Do people overestimate the importance of the kind of software you use?
So we are a little bit of old school here because I learned 3ds Max in my first year of university, and
Hmm.
not only because it was, and this is funny, but Autodesk is clever as hell because they give for free
For
Autodesk
students?
to students. At least in my university, they was giving
Sure. Yeah.
everything was free. So
Yeah.
what you do, you buy for a software, or you actually use the free software the university give you. You use the free option. Everyone was in that situation, and the free software was at the time was 3ds Max, and actually 3ds Max and SketchUp, both free.
Oh, yeah.
So I used both of them for some time, and I think for the first 2 years I was on SketchUp, and then I moved to Autodesk 3ds Max.
3ds Max. Yeah.
Yeah, and to till this day we use 3ds Max and we use Corona render. We used a lot V-Ray in the past, but right now we switched completely to Corona, and we do a lot. And when I say a lot, I mean a lot of post-production work, and we use Photoshop for that. Videos, any other bits and pieces, different softwares, but I think the main um, three softwares are 3ds Max and Photoshop and Corona Render.
Hmm.
So yeah, I think as far as I remember, you have a different take on this because you use Enscape, isn't it? So
Yeah.
what's
Yeah.
your
I
what's
think.
your what's your take on them?
Well, to be honest with you, it all depends what your target market is with Argus, like visualization. I think uh, the advantage that the software that I use, SketchUp and Enscape, has is just the speed and the amount of volume that you're able to produce within the time frame. It's understandable that it's scientifically or coding proven that Corona and V-Ray have just a lot more accurate light bounces, reflection, and all that. So they're not going to be able to compete in terms of quality. However, in my experience, the difference in the final output might may be 20 to 30% if both software are used correctly. Now, from what I see from clients, people who really want ultra realistic images are luxury real estate developers and architects who usually want to apply for a closed competition, right? So these are kind of the main targets. However, for me, it's always been I've never had a lot of interactions with those kind of clients, and um, the software that I use as of now has worked perfectly fine. And I just think that it may be a preference of mine in business and when working that I always value and prioritize speed and volume over everything else, even quality sometimes. So, and I
Mm.
think you don't have to choose between quality and quantity a lot of time, since yeah, I mean, there's a lot of examples that we could take, but yeah, in my opinion, I just prefer to be a lot faster. I've used 3ds Max and Corona previously. I'm not an expert of the software. I am aware of the capabilities that they have and the missing pieces that SketchUp and Enscape have when compared to that. However, it's just a matter of speed. And since clients do not really care about the difference that it has in terms of the final output, I just prefer to use the faster option.
Yeah, yeah, I get that. I get that. I mean, to be
Yeah.
honest, looking at my previous experiences, if I would have to pick one software now, like right now, would be Blender. I I think it's unbelievable in terms of speed, quality, and the outcome is extremely fast paced in terms of progress,
Hmm.
and it's free. So
Yeah.
like having that like option during my first year of university, I guess I would have used that, but I didn't know
Yeah. I
anything about
think
that.
I think for me, the thing with Blender has always been that it's not super tailored to architecture work, and a lot of architects will be a bit skeptic
Mm-hmm.
in terms of, like, to be honest, I don't think most architects have heard of Blender because it's usually used for other kind of 3D work. It's not the most popular ArcViz software. At least that's how I see it. But I know it's super powerful with a
Mm-hmm.
lot of features that it has. It's just I'm
Yeah,
not sure it would be
yeah,
compatible with a lot of architecture workflows.
yeah, yeah.
Even even when talking about, like, I see a lot of discussions between ArchiCAD and Revit in terms of architecture software, and I've tried them both. I think I don't see a lot of differences in terms of what they're capable of. They both can do everything fine. It's just that in some places, ArchiCAD is not used in some offices, so that makes collaboration a lot harder. And then Revit
Mm-hmm.
is not used in some other kind of places in the worlds, and that makes it not as compatible. So I think there's just so many different software that not all studios can kind of
Yeah,
collaborate
yeah,
in that sense.
yeah. I think what I'm getting out of this is probably the integration. It makes a big difference. If so,
Yeah.
I had this conversation with a young artist a while back, and he was saying, which software should I pick up for, you know, work? And I literally said, the option here is basically if you want to work with a visualization company, 3ds Max is 95% of the time in a studio.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I would just go with either Cinema 4D or SketchUp, because if you want to work as a freelancer, you're a bit more free because you can pick your own softwares. You don't have to blend with anyone else. But
Yeah.
if you want to work inside a studio, that's a different story, because the standard in the industry, as sad as it sounds, is Autodesk. They're everywhere. And again, I'm not, against Autodesk, but the prices
I
of
am.
the prices
I,
are extremely
I'll,
high.
I'll say that I am. The prices are extremely high, and I read something which I'm not super precise on, but they changed their guidelines for the licensing recently,
Hmm.
which in one license you cannot have more than 3 downloads of the
Hmm.
software. I think that's changing soon. So I think it's just getting way out of hand, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, no, it's been a few years that
Yeah.
I felt tons of things weren't really up to the standard
Mm,
as well, the quality and the updates. You're you basically are almost forced to update every year.
hmm.
The cost, it doesn't matter because you pay for the subscription, but every year they introduce one small bit or element. They don't change the whole thing, but to make things faster, you have to update every single year. And to update, it's a fucking pain in the bum because it's not as quickly as it sounds. You have to
Mhm.
update all the scripts. You have to update all the third parties programs that works with that. That's
All the
painful.
resources,
All the
everything, all of
resources,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't
I
remind me
definitely.
that I have to do that, and I'm kind of delaying it. At this
Yeah,
stage, I will delay that till 2025
I
probably.
call that stuff a low ROI activity. So yeah, I hate to do that kind of stuff as well. But yeah, I mean, do you? This is a question that I ask a lot of 3D artists. Do you think that architects in general, or what percent of architects do you think care about having the images hyper realistic, as opposed to just having a very good rendering in terms of balance and all of that?
Hmm.
Because this may depend from the different target markets that we might have or the different
Yeah.
clients that we choose to work with.
So let's say that I don't work for almost except for a very very few for interior designers. So I
Hmm.
don't do renovations. I don't do let's say I don't do small scale designs.
Hmm.
And I do more mid to very very big scales. So I go from anything because I can do some interior design up until huge master plans, aerial views with the
Hmm.
tons of context and very
Hmm.
atmospheric. Every project, especially every view and the design, it changes a lot the quality that you provide. For instance, if it's a huge master plan of 80, 90,000 square meters project, you're not going to be able to go too much into the details except for
Hmm.
specific views. So let's say the client wants four aerial views and four eye level views. The eye level views are going to be detached to the aerial views because you have to work them up separately. You will have to add tons of details per view, while the aerial views can be a bit more loose and you can focus on the atmosphere and the quality more as a broad range of elements. So instead of going into the pixel perfection of every single element, you focus a lot more on the atmosphere, for
Yeah.
example. So this actually changes a lot the question you ask, because if you see the quality for an aerial of a master plan, or if you see a hyper realistic quality of an interior view of real estate development in
Hmm.
Switzerland for a small two bedrooms apartment, I think the whole concept changes and the amount of work you do changes as well. So I think it's kind of a bracket, and I don't really know. I cannot generalize because I think clients have different takes on this. But what I notice is, and this is quite common, 90% of the architects around the world wants speed and fast turnarounds. And this is pretty much always. Or if it's not speed, they need that yesterday. The delivery is yesterday. So you have to kind of rush things and you have to provide the quality in the limited time frames. And this is kind of, this happens almost always. And I think I never had one project that says, oh, we have so much time that no one will stress out of over this project, because it
Of
never
course.
happened
Of
ever.
course, of course, of course. Yeah, I mean that's one of the main reasons why I always argue and have different takes on 3ds Max and SketchUp and Enscape, um, and those are usually the posts, at least on Instagram, that get the most engagement because people, for some reason, always tend to glue their software with their personality. So when I'm going against 3ds Max, they take it as I'm going against them for some reason. But
Mm-hmm.
for me, everything, not only with the 3D visualization, but even with content or anything else I do, I always think that speed is super important, and it allows you to create more volume,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And the more volume you create, the more feedback you'll get, and the faster you improve. And At least in my mind, that's how all these processes and systems
Yeah, yeah,
work.
yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
this is in terms of the amount of things that you can produce. I agree, because the every time we deliver something, the first delivery we do is extremely comprehensive. It takes maybe 1 day more instead of 2 days. It might take 3 days, and we always notify this in advance. But it it's extremely valuable for our clients because they see a lot of improvements. But even though it's not perfect, it gives you enough to give feedback back. And this
yeah,
is the first chain that moves the needle a lot more for them as well, because it helps the design. They see things that maybe they didn't see in the beginning, and it kind of makes everything easier for them to comment on. And that's why I think speed and producing a lot helps always, even if you are a beginner. Don't Actually, this is a great advice, and not because I'm saying this, but because I received that comment years ago and I didn't really listen to it. But if you're just starting out, forget about the pixel perfection and the quality. That's crap. You don't need it. You need to produce a lot. If you're a beginner, produce 100 pieces that are done instead of one that you'll never finish because you
hmm,
want to reach the perfection of this. So
yeah,
just go with the volume always, especially if you're a beginner. Then you can nail it down and take a few and refine them. That's great. That's probably the
yeah.
best advice. But in the beginning, go with volume. Where you're a professional, go with quality. That's
Yeah, I
as easy as
I
that.
heard I heard it. I think I've seen a clip from Gary Vee where he's asked about quality and quantity, and I really liked this phrase he said. So, for example, like I cannot cook. Like I'm not a good chef, and if you get a professional chef to cook 20 meals in just 1 week, and I have to create only one meal that week, every single one of his 20 meals are going to be better than my one meal. So it's not always about the quality versus quantity, because if you're good enough, no matter the quantity, the quality is going to be better than someone who has a lot more time anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the way that I see this kind of stuff.
Yep.
But we're talking about the tools, and there's no way that we can let this podcast go without talking about AI, because everyone wonders about it, and it's the big topic right now.
Yep.
How do you think that's going to shape ArcViz, and what's the influence going to be in terms of, is it going to run people out of business?
No, I mean, not now, at least.
Yeah,
Probably in a few years' time. But I guess if we are in a creative industry like architectural illustration, that is extremely creative and is an industry. If you see AI and you don't jump on that and try to implement somehow, you will left behind anyway. So I'm not saying that you have to be master of this, but you have to have an understanding of what artificial intelligence is, how it can help you, how you can leverage it, and how you can incorporate that into your process. Again, I'm
hmm,
not saying that we should all shift to AI and forget about anything else, because it would be stupid, because it would put me out of work as well. But I never I had never thought that AI would be a bad thing. I actually used that for a lot of time, and I was one of the first to share things on LinkedIn for a lot of time. For a year, I shared one thing, different thing, every single day for 1 year straight. And that was great. It was easy. It was amazing. But it was kind of getting out of hands because I was just creating things for the sake of it. And what I see online right now is exactly that:
yeah.
creation for the sake of creation. And that, what's the point of showing me 5 great images created from a topic that, yeah, it's an interesting topic, but what should
Do
I
you
do with
think?
that? It's totally useless. It's a great set
Do
of
you
images, but
think?
that's it.
Yeah. Do you think the title AI artist is valid?
I don't know. I mean, probably not. I mean, if we look at things, probably not. I see why people call themselves AI artist or AI prompt engineer of that long names, or AI evangelist. I've even see that.
Mhm.
That sounds not the best, but
Yeah, super
I think,
sophisticated.
yeah, I think it's kind of, it's it's probably just to go with the wave of things that they
Yeah,
kind of navigate through AI artist sort of stuff. I don't see a point, because AI artist, it gives no context. It tells me absolutely nothing except that you use AI in your
to
work.
create
But
art.
I could be an AI artist. You could be an AI artist just jumping on Midjourney and typing a few things for the sake of it.
Yeah,
I see great value if you actually use AI to deliver better work for your clients. For example, what we started doing and what we did in past month or so, was incorporate AI into our work, and it can be done to create the kind of correct set of people for your sketches or your drafts. It can give you a range of ideas for your sketch or your draft. I don't see that as a final product because the quality is great, especially with the new releases, but it's still far behind in terms of comparison between a 3D rendered element with a pixel perfection type of thing and AI done in 5 minutes. The difference, you see the difference.
yeah. I mean, to be honest, we've done some projects that Photoshop AI has killed it. Like it was so good, especially for surroundings. It took like 5 minutes to try out different prompts, and the results were a lot better, and obviously 100 times faster than it would take us to model those surroundings.
Hmm.
And for that case, it's a lot better because, in my opinion, right now, it's not as mainstream as it's going to be.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. However, to be honest, in the future, I see it being a lot more easier to, like, I see the service of Argus being a lot easier to be implemented in house for architects rather than having to outsource.
Yeah.
So that's how I see it
Yeah, yeah. No, no, no. It
going.
is. It is. I can see that already now. I've received a few briefs in the past, and recently as well, from clients where they showed me an actual design through Midjourney, saying this is our brief, and we will go about that. So we will do everything because we presented this to the client. The client was happy, and this was really took iteration from them, and I totally get that. But the brief that they gave me was done in AI, and they gave me a reference that was done in Midjourney. That was not bad. I can tell you this, it wasn't that bad. It was actually quite interesting in terms of the surrounding, the environment, the building, everything was done properly. Still, if you have to take that and deliver a set of images to a client, consistency of the design scheme, the comments that you receive from the client, the integration with the landscape, the materiality, it's still it still requires time to, work properly on it, and I don't think AI can replace any of that, at least not now. Who knows what in 6 months, 1 year time, things will shape up.
There's gonna be that's gonna come in a bit more time than 6 months. However, I definitely think that every Archivist artist should have a plan to adapt when that comes around. What is your plan once that comes around?
um Probably by then I will be able to kind of integrate AI good enough in my process, and
Hmm.
I will be able to actually stick with what I do and provide solutions for my clients. But as a rule of thumb, my big plan is to be seen less as a actual production person and more as a creative partner. And this is what I always say to my clients. I'm there to do great images, and that's part of what I do, but I'm not there only to do that. I'm there to just creatively offering you solutions. So my plan is to integrate AI, but on a wider range of services that I can offer. So it's kind of see myself more as a creative partner rather than technical. because I don't like technical things. I never did. I am not a technical person. And I think I like AI because it's not technical. It is extremely free because you write what you have in mind and it kind of picks up things. If
Hmm.
we talk about Midjourney, if we talk about Stable Diffusion, that's a bit more technical. And no, actually, DALI is quite easy as well.
Yeah.
But in when the wave will come around, I don't know. I don't want to be seen as a person that works with AI only, at least, but I want to be seen as a person that can master AI to provide better solutions and
Hmm.
offer better services to my
Yeah.
clients.
Yeah, I get you. Well, that's a very interesting point, and I think what's going to happen is through the time of at least this is where how I see it going and how I predict it, through a time where people are transitioning between using other software for rendering, the software that we use right now, to using AI. I think the prices and the amount you're going to be able to charge for rendering is going to drop a lot more, because it's just going to be a lot more accessible. Renders are going to be a lot more accessible for architects, and I think that the robots are going to be able to do a better job for the amount of a time frame that they do it, rather than the artists.
Hmm.
But that's how I see it going, at least as of now. A lot of people would see this, by the way, a lot of people would see this as a pessimist point of view. I wouldn't call myself a pessimist. I think this is just from what I've analyzed from the past of how different industries have adapted to new technologies. From all the information that I've gathered, I've come to this prediction as of now. But I'm not sure how much would you actually agree with that.
I mean, I don't disagree. I think the big difference will be seen in the actual service you provide in terms of quality and quantity and speed. This is a whole thing, but competing with AI is you're not competing with the speed because you will lose.
Mhm.
100% you will lose. They will be much faster and they will provide things in a snap of a finger. But I think you still have to be kind of behind that to guide it somehow. And that can make a difference. So if you can understand, that's why I'm saying that I want to learn how to use them and how to integrate them, because when this potential wave comes around, I'll be able to move and shift and pivot. Actually, pivot is the right word and
Mhm.
keyword here, because we will have to pivot somehow to
Mhm.
adapt to something different. And the earlier we start to kind of have an understanding of that, the easier will be later on. So I probably agree that the prices will drop, but I also see a big gap in between the quality that you deliver now and the quality you will deliver later against the processes and things like this. So again, those are two different takes, and it's scary, but it's quite exciting at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think people should see it as scary as much. At least I don't see it that way. The thing is, even if 3D rendering doesn't even exist as a service later on, to be honest, I'm confident that with a journey with 3D rendering that I've had with learning a bit of copywriting, doing video, thumbnail, marketing, sales, and all this stuff, there's a lot of knowledge that you can still get from being a freelancer in 3D rendering that you can apply in any other kind of industry. And I think that's where um, that's why people that adapt are always going to have the upper hand in this kind of stuff. So
Yeah, yeah, I
yeah,
agree.
we covered a bit of the pricing side of things with 3D rendering. What do you think right now? Obviously, I know that there's different markets and different clients out there, but what is the norm and the standard of pricing for 3D renders as of now?
It really depends, because and this is something I always say to my clients, like quoting a project, it's not a fixed rule. fix it all rule, because it's extremely impossible. It can go from 500 euros to 5,000 euros. You don't really know. And without having a brief, it's extremely hard, because obviously, let's say that you have three images of the same thing, instead of versus one project where you have three images of three different things. How can you charge that differently? Actually, how can
Same.
you quote that? Because if it's completely different, because three images of the same project will cost much less than three images of three buildings in three different positions. So it's really hard to say as a rule of thumb. But again, I'm not one of the person that competes on prices. I never did. But I see so much artists and so many artists charging lowballing to get a client. And if you lowball under 700-800 euros an image, how much can you value your work? Honestly, if you charge 50 euros an image, how can you value your work? Well, I get that you can deliver 50 images for 50 quid, and you can still do a decent amount, but you will still have to work on 50 images for $50 or euros. So that's kind of hard to pull it off.
Uh, the way, yeah, I think I totally agree with you. And right now, I mainly charge with a retainer model rather than per image or per project. But the way that I would charge when I was doing a per project basis, I would really calculate how much it would cost me to outsource work, because that's where the main growth comes in when you spend the most time trying to get new clients rather than focusing on delivering the work. And I would add a 50 to 70% profit margin on top of that. And that's how I would charge it. I know it's probably not the most, I don't know, I guess it's not the most usual way, because a lot of people still do the work themselves. However, I just found out that, I mean, it's a good way to have it as a business venture. And I had to let go of my need and want to be in the whole, in the control of the whole process. So if I could find people that could do the work better than me, and that would also leave me with a good amount of profit, that would be all good and fine to me back
Yeah,
then. So
it's
yeah.
it's not it's not a bad way. I'm not a big fan of outsourcing a lot, because I don't have the control over the quality, because I
Mhm.
know that a day is 24 hours. So if I get something that's not what I expected, and I have to ask the guy to redo that, he won't be able to do that. And I'm saying this only because I had very bad experiences in the past, a few times, not always, but a few times. And where you expect something and you get a really poor result. So basically, you have to invest twice as much, because you have to do your own thing, because they fucked up, and it's kind of really tricky to
Yeah.
sort things out. So
Yeah, that's exactly why I would charge double the amount that, so like with a 50% margin. But yeah, that's true. I think it takes a lot of time to find incredible and sustainable ways to outsource. But once you do, I think it's one of the best ways you can scale
yeah, yeah, yeah,
freelance business anyway.
yeah.
So
It
yeah.
can be a good way.
Well, thank you very much for being on the podcast, Matteo. I really
My
appreciate you
pleasure.
taking the time to join. I think this was a conversation that a lot of people are going to appreciate and find a lot of good insights in the industry. And
Hopefully.
for anyone who wants to go and take even a deeper look into the content that Matteo creates, feel free to check the link below. I'm going to leave the link of his LinkedIn, and go ahead and follow him, and make sure to engage with a lot of the valuable content that he shares.
Yeah, guys, I'm gonna see you on my LinkedIn page or website or whatnot, and I definitely enjoyed that. So thank you very much, Melis.